Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to another video. Today we are doing part 2 of the Broke family deep dive. It's been a while, I know, but we're back. Okay, and it's October, it's Halloweenkies, like, I'm trying something new. I just felt like filming somewhere different today. So today we're going to get into the history of Skip Broke and his family. I'm very excited. Okay, I've written the script for part 2 and part 3 already, so you should expect part 3 to be out next weekend. I'm hoping for Halloween day, but we'll see. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before Brandy Broke became one of Pleasant View's most talked about single mothers, there was another story, one rooted in Riverview. The Brokes have never had it easy. From tragic losses to generational struggles, their legacy is built on laughter, love, and a bit of chaos. In this chapter, we dive into Skip Broke's side of the family, a line filled with dreamers, partiers, and survivors. From a daredevil uncle who drowned too soon, to a mother clipping coupons just to make ends meet, and a father who'd rather chase fun than fortune. The signs were there long before Skip and Brandy ever met. Okay, so if you watched part 1, you know that most of this story takes part in Riverview in The Sims 3. Same thing with Skip's side of the family. So the Broke family resides in Riverview on 49 Eli Road, and they have starting funds of 600 simoleons. Not great, if you ask me, okay? They are a family of 7. Let that sink in. They're a family of 7 with 2 generations, okay? 7 people living off 600 simoleons is nearly impossible, okay? That's playing Sims on hard mode. But I digress. Their family bio reads as follows. When Flo and Flat met in high school, these names, Flo and Flat. When Flo and Flat met in high school, sparks flew. Life has never been easy, but as long as they are together, they find a way to have fun. When Flat's brother Buck showed up with 2 kids and no wife, they just invited him to move in. The more the merrier. Okay, so the names are gonna be a bit wild, okay? Just bear with me. So we're going to start with Bernard Broke. So Bernard Broke is, we're unsure if he is a grandfather or an uncle, but he is a paternal family member on Skip's side. That's all we know. He is a pre-made deceased sim. He appears in Riverview. He doesn't appear in the family tree in-game. That's why we don't know if he is he an uncle? Is he a grandfather? But we just know that he is part of the family based on the name alone. But it's speculated, but we don't know how exactly he's related. We just know it's the paternal side of the family. So a little bit into Bernard's life and his personality. He was single and he was an adult at the time of his death. He was a daredevil, he had commitment issues, he was athletic, and he was a great kisser. When he was alive, he had the lifetime wish of being a heartbreaker. I guess, you know, the commitment issues. He was like, nah, I just want to have all the fun in the world. And honestly, good on him for knowing what he wants. His favorites were custom music, tri-tip steak, and the color white. He is buried in the Old Town Cemetery, and his cause of death is drowning. Okay, so I feel like the deaths are very symbolic in this family. You know what? They're always symbolic in The Sims, now that I think about it. So just like keep it in your copy, okay? Moving on to Buck Broke, who is Skip's uncle. So he is a widower, and he moved in with his brother Flat after his wife Mary Lou sadly passed away. He is the father of Trigger and Susie Broke, and Buck is 11 days away from becoming an adult at the start of the game. I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but how do I put this politely? This game is very tongue-in-cheek, okay? So a lot of this family, I don't even know where to... This family is kind of giving, like, you know, the stereotype of living in the trailer park, you know, and like the names and the fact that they're poor and all of that. Like, it's just giving trailer park vibes. It's giving Sweet Home Alabama, you know, like what... I'm not American, okay, but the stereotype that I know of those certain type of people, like that stereotype, this is what it's giving. And I think the Sims team did it on purpose. Okay, so just enjoy. It's just for some fun, but yeah, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it a little bit. Anyways, he's the father of Trigger and Susie Broke. Okay, more about his life and his personality. So he works part-time as an overseer of the dead. I swear the titles of the different positions of the jobs in The Sims is like wild. Overseer of the Dead, that sounds really bougie, but I digress. He just guards the mausoleum at nighttime at the cemetery. Anyways, Buck has a good sense of humor, he's flirty, he's a slob, he loves the outdoors, and he is a party animal. He has the lifetime wish to become a rock star. His favorites are electronica music, cobbler, and the color black. His bio states, Buck Broke never thought he'd be a single father. Things get a little messy, but as long as he can take a walk in the woods now and then, he's happy. So far, Buck sounds like he's just a happy-go-lucky dude. Like, unfortunately, his wife died, but he sounds like a simple man. As long as he gets to go for his little walk, he's happy, and I get that. I love me a little walk here and there. Like, it's really good to clear the mind. Oh, yeah, no. My dog is, he hears kids outside. He's like, I need to inspect the grounds. Moving on to Buck's wife, Mary Lou. Mary Lou is the aunt to Skip Broke. Mary Lou is deceased at the beginning of the game, and she is the mother, obviously, of Trigger and Susie Broke. She unfortunately died as a young adult, and her cause of death was starvation. It's really tragic when you think about it, but based on everything we've learned up until this point from part 1, even up until now, it could be a financial situation. You know, she was probably providing everything for the kids, making sure the kids eat first, and she unfortunately died of starvation. That's my assumption though, but I mean, makes sense. A little bit into Mary Lou's life and personality before she died. Mary Lou was a childish person in a good way. Like, childish Sims are not annoying, they're just childlike at heart. I don't know how to explain, but anyways, she was childish, a couch potato, absent-minded, easily impressed, and a great kisser. Apparently being a great kisser is like, it runs in the family at this point. But she just sounds like a fun-loving girl. She sounds fun, she sounds like she has no worries. I don't know, she just sounds really nice, and she unfortunately met her demise like really young in her life, and that's really sad. Her lifetime wish was to be super popular, and her favorites were kids music, cheesesteak, and the color pink. So now we move on to Trigger Broke, who is Skip's cousin. Trigger Broke is the eldest son of Mary Lou and Buck Broke. He is a teenager at the start of the game, and he is 4 days away from becoming a young adult. So if we look into his life and his personality, Trigger is actually an A student in high school. Personally, when I was doing this research, I saw the stereotype through and through. Okay, and you tend to think with stereotypes, I was thinking maybe like school is not a priority, I don't know. But he's an A student in high school, he has a good sense of humor, he is a slob, but most teenagers are at this age. I mean, especially teenage boys, but that's a discussion for another day. And he cannot stand art. He just hates it. He's like, nah, that's just not for me. And he's also clumsy. His favorites are electronica music, cookies, and the color gray. His bio reads as follows. Trigger Broke has a hard time, but he always finds a way to laugh about it. If he can just get through high school, he thinks his life might be good enough. Well, so far, just sounds like a normal, like, teenage kid who hates art, but I digress. He's working hard at school, and he is quite optimistic about his future, which is great because, I mean, right now with his family, it's like, damn, that's crazy. Mom's not here, dad works part-time, and we're like struggling, you know? But it brings me comfort to know that he thinks that his life will be just good enough, you know, to be content. But anyways, moving on. I believe his life can get better after high school. Yeah, he probably doesn't want to repeat history, his family history in his adult life, which is nice to see. Moving on to his little sister, Susie Broke, also Skip's cousin. Susie Broke is a child when we first encounter her in The Sims, and she is 6 days away from becoming a teenager. So Susie is an excitable child. She just gets excited over anything, which is like how kids are. She's also a slob. I think at this point being a slob is hereditary. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've written this, so I'm just like, I'm having fresh thoughts all over again, but I digress. She is a slob and she is unlucky. Oof, girl. I don't know how to tell you this. Anyways, her favorites are kids music, fruit parfait, and the color yellow. Her bio reads as follows. Susie Broke is growing up in a family of party people. Sometimes she gets a bit wound up. Will she be the first in the family to take life seriously? Okay, so Susie, like her brother, is very much aware of what's going on in her family. The bio is kind of getting the player to think, how do you want to take this character when you play her. She's excitable and everything, but I mean, she could in the future do better, but because she's unlucky, I don't know how much better. But that's all we get for Susie. So moving on to Skip's immediate family, we're going to start with his father, Flat Broke. Ooh, child. It's giving when I did Olive Spectre and all of her husbands had other names for death, like euthanasia, rigor mortis. Like, I love it. Okay, the names are my favorite part. Anyways, we have Flat Broke, which is Skip's father. So Flat Broke is an elder. He lives with his family in Riverview, and he is the father to Skip and his sister Ruby Broke. Due to his age, we don't know how many days he has left when you start the game. So it depends on your game settings if you have short lifespan, medium, or long. But he's on his way out. Okay, he's old. Moving on, some information about his life and his personality. So Flat is a friendly man. He is a little bit cowardly. He's a bit of a mooch. He's a party animal, and he is a slob. Again, I think at this point being a slob runs in the family, because what do you mean? Everybody is a slob here. Like, Flat is good friends with both of his children, and he's friends with everyone else in the family. The family dynamic, as much as everybody has, you know, their good and their bad traits, they get along, you know? They're kind of tight-knit, which is nice. I appreciate that factor. At least they didn't make them like enemies and all of that, and people dying, and then they're also broke, you know what I mean? That would just be... that's too much, child. I don't think my cholesterol could handle it. So his favorites are pop music, cobbler, and the color white. He works part-time as a shopping music DJ. So he works at the grocery store and he does the music. So that is his part-time job. His lifetime wish is to be surrounded by family. Honestly, kind of sweet. And he technically is. I mean, he lives with his brother and his nieces and nephews, and he's got his kids, you know, it's... I think that's lovely. I think that's lovely despite the struggles that they're going through. Moving on. His bio reads as follows. Flat Broke loves a good time. He works just hard enough to keep the bills paid with enough left over for a little fun. As long as he has Flo at his side, he has everything he needs. Oh, he knows what he wants, okay? He is like, listen, I work to pay the bills and to party a little bit, okay? As long as I've got my wife, I got my family, I'm good. That's the kind of man he is. And honestly, as long as y'all know what you want, like, you know what you want, that's fine. Speaking of Flo, let's get into her and her life a little bit. So Flo also lives with the family. She is also an elder at the start of the game, so we don't know how many days she has left when you start playing. She is family oriented, she is frugal, which is, you know, a change of pace because everyone there seems to not really care about money. It's more like you want to have your bills paid, make sure that everything is covered, and then, you know, do a little party afterwards. That seems to be the priorities, but she's a little bit frugal. She's a little bit like, why don't we save here and there? Love that. But she's also a party animal, so I mean, she fits right in with that aspect. She is a technophobe, and she is also unlucky. Bless her heart. That's a rough combination of traits. Her lifetime wish is also to be super popular. She works part-time as a ringer upper. I cannot make this up. A ringer upper at the spa. So like a cashier front desk type woman situation. Her favorites are electronica music, hot dogs, and the color turquoise. I also love me some good turquoise. Her bio reads as follows. Flo loves having her family close by. She clips coupons and gets herself to work in the morning. But will she ever figure out how to use the computer? That is so cute, honestly. I think that's adorable. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Ruby Broke, who is Skip Broke's sister. Ruby Broke is Skip Broke's older sister. So Ruby is a young adult at the start of the game, and she's 16 days away from aging up into an adult. She is a flirty girl and a great kisser, like it runs in the family, we know at this point. She is also a party animal who is surprised, and she is a good person and easily impressed. Her current job is an intake specialist at the spa, so she works with her mom. I guess they both do like the front desk work type situation. And her lifetime wish is to be a heartbreaker, like her paternal family member Bernard Broke. Her favorites are electronica music, pancakes, and the color yellow. Her bio reads as follows. It's short and sweet. Ruby is thinking about moving out, but she enjoys the convenience of having family close by. Bless her heart. bless her heart. They're very family oriented and I love it. Now we are going to move on to Skip Broke. Now, in my previous video, I did not introduce Brandy because she was not born yet. So Skip is already born, you know, he's turning into a full-fledged sim at this point. I mean, he's got traits and stuff. So I'm going to introduce him. Introduced to us as a child at the start of the game, and he's 4 days away from becoming a teenager. He is a daredevil, a light sleeper, and he's neat, which is like a strange change of pace because everyone there is a slob at this point. They're either a slob or a party animal. There's no in between. And then there's like Skip. He's like, can y'all just clean up? Can y'all just like throw that away when you're done? Bless his heart. His favorites are kids music, hot dogs, and the color gray. His bio states Skip Broke wishes Mom and Dad would clean up more often, but he knows he is loved. And I find that really sweet. That's all we know about Skip from The Sims 3. I'm gonna leave it there. We will dive deeper into him and Brandy in part 3, but you have to stay tuned for that. Okay, so I've told you all about this family. Let's tie some knots. Let's put some things together. There is evidence of generational poverty and just enough living. Okay, like I said in the beginning, they start with 600 simoleons. That is not enough. Okay, remember when I talked about how starting with 2,000 simoleons in a family, like, it's fine, but you'll run out eventually if you don't work hard and if you don't like try and level up in your careers. Imagine 600 for a family of 7. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, does not make sense. Flat Broke's bio literally says that he works to make just enough to pay the bills and have some left over for partying. This is showing that there is some mentality of like, I'm okay with living for just enough. I don't want more, just enough to pay the bills and to party, because everybody's a freaking party animal there. Speaking of them being party animals, it's kind of like they're all party animals because they're trying to escape their current reality, which is the fact that they have a lot of financial stress. There's a form of escapism. It's a big word for Elmo, but I digress. There's a lot of party animals. There's a lot of flirtatious people, good kisses, what have you, and there's a lot of fun-loving, you know, traits there. You've got Flat, Flo, Ruby, Buck, I mean even Bernard, Rip, but I mean it's there. The traits of like fun, loving people, but it's like, is this just how you are, or are you coping with the fact that you are struggling financially? And there's 7 of you, kids included, you know what I mean? It feels like they could just be dealing with their problems through partying instead of having discipline. When I was like looking into this family, I was like, why do y'all have part-time jobs? Why do y'all only have part-time jobs? Like in The Sims, it's very easy to get a job. Like it's easy to get a full-time job. Obviously you start at the bottom, you work your way up. However, it's not difficult, especially when this game came out. You didn't need a degree, you didn't need like prerequisite whatever. You could just read the newspaper, sign up, you know, sign up for a new job, and you get it. So I remember feeling like, why are you choosing part-time jobs? You know, like, it's like they're choosing partying over discipline because it's easier. It's easier to deal with that and escape your reality that way instead of, you know, hard work, discipline. It seems like Trigger is a little bit aware of what it could take to get out of what his family's doing. I think he's seeing what they're doing and he's like, this ain't working. I'm gonna try the other way, because he's working hard at school. You know, he has hope for his future. Hopefully he applies for a more full-time job that requires more discipline and he'll be able, you know, but so far it's not looking that great. So, I mean, there's this theme, okay, that we've got going on. How do we know that this doesn't follow Skip into his adult life, you know? Yes, he is completely loved by his parents, and that, as it should be. He knows he is loved, but children also deserve a clean house. They deserve parents that try everything in their power to provide for the child in other ways outside of love, you know, like financially, make sure there's always a roof over their heads, that they have food, and there are other things that you need to provide for your child. You know, sometimes love is not enough. Y'all don't have, you have 600 I don't know how else is it, you have 600 simoleons and you want to party. Guys, there's unresolved grief there. They're not dealing with their problems. It's very, very clear. And it leaves you, like when you read the bios of their kids, it leaves you feeling like you can either choose to follow in these footsteps, or like, what are y'all gonna do to not be like your parents? That's like the vibe I get when I read their bios. It's asking the player, what are you going to do? How are you going to like get these kids out of this kind of situation, to deal with their grief, to not repeat the same cycles? It's really telling when you look into the history of Brandy and Skip. Like, you can see how we got to where we're going to get to in part 3, and how we were introduced to them in The Sims 2. It's actually insane. It's not hard to see that they have really bad financial habits. I mean, let's look at Flo, for example. She's frugal, okay? But now she's surrounded by family members who are slobs. They're mooches. Her husband's a mooch. Come on. Mooches and technophobes. Like, they're not taking the steps to get themselves out, to be more successful. You're not interested in learning about computers. You're a slob and you're a mooch. Do better. So outside of not having the best traits, or, you know, mental will to do better. Now, hear me out. If all of them had part-time jobs, but they actively worked to get promotions or something, they could live a little bit better. Not great, but still better. You know what I mean? So you can really tell that there's no ambition that side, okay? She is absent completely. And this could have influenced Skip's future, maybe like with his lack of financial foresight. Especially when we look at him with his wife Brandy in The Sims 2. We have to talk about the cycle of unluckiness, okay? Because as much as their own choices are playing into, you know, the current state of their family situation, there is also just inherited unluckiness. Like, Flo is unlucky, Susie is unlucky. There's tragedy. I'm talking like the drowning, the starvation, and then the poverty. It seems to just follow them generation after generation. It's not just Flo, who's like an elder in the family. It's also Susie, who is one of the younger people in the family, who's unlucky. It feels like they are cursed. They're cursed with bad mentality. They're cursed with bad luck. And it seems like they are destined to struggle no matter how much love they have family-wise. It's my cat having zoomies for me. The last thing I want to mention is how they always talk about family before everything, or their mindset seems to be family before everything. Flat and Flo's bios revolve around, you know, togetherness. And even Ruby, like, she wants to move out, which would technically be progressing in life, trying to do better for yourself. But her family and the convenience of being around them is like kind of giving her pause, you know? So it's affecting, you know, the younger generations of the family. And it's quite likely that Skip inherited this mindset where it's love and family first, money second, which that in an isolated, if you think about it by itself, right, it's beautiful. But if you are starting a family with somebody and you already don't have enough resources, that can be dangerous. What do you mean you want to get married and have kids with someone and you are putting money second? You need money in order to provide for that family that you want to have. So yeah, it's really not looking good, hey? It's not looking good, guys. And if you know the story, you can see where all of the tragedy comes from. What do you mean? But I digress. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Part 3 will be coming out soon after this, hopefully, fingers crossed. And yeah, comment down below what your thoughts are on, you know, Skip's family. Like, I remember reading this for the first time and just being like, what? Like, he was just set up to fail at this point, because what do you mean? Anyways, if I don't stop yapping, I'll go on forever. But yeah, I'll see you guys in part 3. Bye!